Hello, I'm Ronald, Associate Vice President of the Rothenberg Center for Public Policy, and welcome to Both Sides of the Bars, a discussion-driven show that examines the criminal justice system from various perspectives, including from those most impacted by the system. We discuss critical questions about how the current system works, its intersections with social justice, and highlight the efforts that are being made to improve the lives of everyone that is affected by it. We ask you, the viewer, to spread the word about Both Sides of the Bars and to share your comments with us on Twitter at The Fortune Society. Today, we have some phenomenal guests, and thank you for being here with us. I want to talk a little bit about what you bring to this phenomenal discussion that we're going to have today about families. All right, so a little bit of background information. Ashley Viruet? Viruet yes. Is the co-founder and partner at Carrion, Soto, Viruet, and Kelley.
Yes.
Great. Mouthful.
Yeah,
Her
a little
practice
bit.
focuses on criminal defense and appeals. Prior to founding the firm, Ashley dedicated the entirety of her educational and professional career to learning the art of defending New York's most vulnerable citizens as they face the city's criminal justice system. Ashley is an active member of the Hispanic National Bar Association and the New York Women's Bar Association, and volunteers with the National Lawyers Guild Parole Preparation Project. She received a BA from the University of Virginia and a JD from the Benjamin Cardozo School of Law. Thank you, Ashley, for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. And I want to also welcome our other guest, Mr. Malik Frazier.
Yes, sir.
And Malik, born and raised in Brooklyn?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and graduated from Canarsie High School and spent 2 years on the boys varsity team. So I guess you're a pretty phenomenal basketball player. Okay. Winning 2 division championships and earning a trip to the city's semifinals in your junior year. After graduating, Malik signed up for military and joined the United States Marine Corps.
Hoorah.
Thank you for your military service.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yeah, and I also want to say, you worked as a sports specialist, right?
Yes, sir.
Where you work with children between the ages of 8 and 14.
Yes, sir.
All right, and so you have experience working with young people.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we want to again have this discussion about families, particularly families that have to deal with the issue of having a loved one that find themselves impacted by the criminal justice system. So why don't we start with you, Ashley, by just you giving our viewers some background and some context about what happens when an individual is arrested and what type of services is generally available to them and how can they be of service to their loved one.
So originally when a person is arrested, they're going to have to be processed. They're going to have to be processed by the police up front.
Yes.
They're then going to go to, or the officer who arrested them will go to the DA's office and have charges written up. Then they'll be, if there are charges, they'll be reprocessed by the police, get rap sheets, et cetera, et cetera. So for that first 18 to 24 hours, there's kind of this frozen period where there's really nothing anyone can do. There's nothing the family can really do. There's nothing lawyers can really do. There's just kind of this time period where they're just kind of going through the system, so to speak. And that, I think, is where people start to get really frustrated because they're trying to get information. There's no information. At best, you'll get an arrest number. Yeah. And then when everything's said and done and they finally have a docket number, then you'll get a docket number. So at this point, the family has 2 options. They can allow the system to kind of do what it's doing and allow their family member to be assigned to a public defender, which could be one of the various offices that work in the city, and they'll just be assigned to whomever happens to be in arraignments that day and time. Or they can, in this process, decide to find a private attorney and pay someone to come down to arraignments and help their family member. But there's more than just that. That's the process. That's how a lot of people see it. Yeah. But there is something that the family members can be doing in that time. They can go down to court, whoever they choose their attorney to be, whether they have a public defender or whether they hire a private lawyer. They are still so important because they can go down there and they can go up to the public defenders or whoever their lawyer is and say, I'm so-and-so's family member. I am here, I am in court. When you're ready, I'm here to talk to you, to tell you about this person. Yeah. So when you go to arraignments, when you are up with a client or when I'm up with a client, what the judge needs to know is what are their ties to the community? How do I know this person isn't going to run away? Because that's what bail is all about. It's about making sure that the individual comes back to court. Now, talking about bail obviously is a whole nother discussion that I'm sure you guys will broach on a whole nother day, but that's its purpose.
Yes.
Per the statute, you're supposed to consider certain factors. A lot of those factors are actually factors that family can really help with. You know, does this person have a job? What do they do every day? Do they help you take care of your children? Do they get kids off the bus? Do they support family members with their earnings? What else do they do? Are they involved in social events? Do they, help children in the community and coach basketball? Do they go to church regularly and, sing in their church choir or volunteer? All of these kinds of things that I, as a lawyer, meeting someone for the first time, I don't know any of that. And so that's where the family can really start to paint a picture of who this person is. They are not the defendant. They have a name and they have a life, and this is one instance there. So I think that that's where, from the very beginning, they can really help the lawyer and thus help whoever is arrested.
Yeah, and thank you for doing that, because again, some of our audience, I presume, if they have someone that they know, a loved one or have you, that has been entangled in the criminal justice system, it can be a very stressful time for them. And the more information that they have about how the process works and how they can be supportive of their loved one, the more smoothly, right, things can actually go. We know that it's a tough time. You mentioned about bail. Sometimes people languish in our jails with relatively low bails and so forth. But like you said, that's another conversation.
Right. Yeah.
But Malik, why don't we turn it to you now, and you tell us a little bit about your background, because the issue of family was something that was really key for you as someone who was involved in the criminal justice system and had to go through a bunch of different obstacles in order to be reunited with your family.
Well, yeah, definitely. Just to piggyback on what she said, family is big, because my family was there.
Yes.
I had 2 brothers there and a sister. It resonated with the people in the court, the court officers and the judges, and the judge, I'm sorry. And when they pulled me back, they was like, well, you must be a different type of person, because everybody's here supporting you. I'm like, yeah, that's my family. We love each other. So that's big, just to have family there. In my situation, I was pulled away from my kids when I got arrested. And then that whole process of getting back after the whole ordeal and the whole trial and everything was done, just getting back to finding them and getting them back and being back in their lives and being able to see them and, being in their lives was, just a process that, you have to stay focused. You have to have tunnel vision and say, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And you got to want to do it, and then you have to apply yourself, basically.
So you told us about how important it is for an individual who has criminal justice involvement, who is entangled in the system, to have family support. Oftentimes there's this belief that a father in particular, if that person has criminal justice involvement, oh, a lot of the men don't care about their children and all of this. So tell us a little bit about how that experience was for you, having gotten arrested, having the family dislodged because of the arrest, and then reuniting with your children.
I mean, I ran into that. I guess it's just a stigma that's out there, but you have to fight it.
Yeah.
You have to be determined. I was determined to get back into my children's lives.
Yes.
And I wasn't letting anybody stop me. I wasn't letting anybody give me bad information. If I heard something, I called whoever I need to call and say, hey, they told me this. That don't sound right. What do you think I need to do? I had a lawyer. I also had a family court lawyer when I went back to family court, and she helped me a lot. She gave me certain information. She introduced me to the Fortune Society.
Yes.
And when I got in there, I got a lot of information about what I can do, what my rights were. And you have to stay on it. You can't wait for anybody else to do the work for you. Even in your trial and in your criminal proceedings, it's best if you have to be able to defend yourself also, and just staying on top of it, and staying focused and being determined. And I was determined. I love my children, and that was the second worst part of that was being away from them. other than what I was arrested for and sitting up in jail for 18 months. Being away from them for that long just was like a driving motivation force. Like, all right, when I get out of here, I'm going to get them. I'm going to see them. They're going to know I didn't disappear on them. And, you know.
Yeah, and I want to come back and have you talk a little more intimately about that, because it's really important for the audience to understand. Again, there's a lot of stigma about men, getting arrested and not really caring about their children, and you describing what you are here about how important that was for you. Again, some of the details I want to figure out how that actually happened. All right, and so Ashley, to you again. So, how do people find out about the services that you have to offer, and what are some of the experiences that people have described, the challenges that they've had to face, right, with regards to family? Because you mentioned, the family is there, and sometimes they can even provide some support that they didn't know, and they have a high level of capacity that they didn't realize. And so, tell us a little bit about, some interactions that you've had that you think would be really important for our audience to hear.
Well, I specialize in criminal defense. So a lot of the family court proceedings that were just mentioned are not things that I would really specialize in. I have partners who do, and I can obviously refer clients out to that. But as far as what I've experienced personally, it tends to be more along the lines of the family member really acting as an outside advocate and collaborating with me and helping me get information that I need. So it could be something as simple as, coming to my office and meeting with me and giving me all this information about this person. It could be writing a letter. If you don't have time, you can write me a letter outlining things about this person. I've had clients, I had a client who was accused of something which, based on his physical capacity, was actually physically impossible. And his wife sat down and wrote, entire pages of all of his medical issues, sent me all of this background information, all, just the most elaborate thing in a way that I could understand as someone who's not a healthcare professional, as opposed to just getting medical records and lumping those on a table, which isn't necessarily useful, and what his day-to-day life is like, and why he's unable to do these things that he was, this assault that he was accused of doing based on his physical capacity. So that's a lot of it. I've had clients who also will call the DA's office directly and speak to the DA and actually do that advocating on their own. Speak to me, speak to the DA, and I've had it where they'll call the DA's office and tell them exactly how they feel. Especially, this is most common when they are the person who's on the order of protection, and it is the alleged victim, and there's some kind of misunderstanding that they weren't actually injured, and so they'll really can do a lot of work by calling the DA and being proactive and working with me, and understanding what I need from them, from a legal perspective, and then taking the initiative, as you said, taking the initiative and really doing it. And there are sometimes clients just can't do this. They either can't talk to their spouse, they're incarcerated, for whatever reason, they're just not capable. So it's really more of, for me, it's not me offering them services per se, it's me collaborating and them being willing to collaborate with me, giving me a lot of information that otherwise I wouldn't have, and really taking those steps and saying, no, this is someone I care about. You need to see them as a whole person, which then helps me portray that to a judge, helps me portray that to the DA, who's seeing my client as one instance, as the defendant, and one tiny snippet, one side of a story. We all know there are two sides and the truth. So they have a very narrow view, and so it helps me create a picture of this person as an actual human who has an actual family and an actual life and is involved in their community. So to me, it's not, what can I do for this family? Because as I said, I can't do a lot as a criminal defense attorney for the family, but they can really do a lot to collaborate with me to help their family member who I am actually working for at the time.
Got it.
So.
And if there is an instance where there's an order of protection or something like this, and so the family member is reaching out to the DA's office, then that could potentially then be helpful for the person who's accused, right?
Yeah, so I mean, my usual preference is that, and this is very common in domestic violence situations, which can, are scenarios in which police and DAs get very protective. They get very bullheaded. And so what I usually prefer is that if the alleged victim is saying this has not happened like this, I don't want this order of protection, you know, because the first thing I'll do at arraignments is I'll call them, or they will often be there, and then I can really get the whole story because here's the other person that was actually here. And so I prefer that they talk to me, tell me the whole story, tell me everything they possibly can about this incident, about their relationship, you know, anything that they feel is relevant, and I'll kind of ask for more clarification as needed. But they can also reach out to the DA and tell them that directly. Okay. Now, the reason I prefer that they tell me and allow me to, you know, say it to the DA is because the DA ultimately wants them to sign some kind of paperwork so they can go forward with their case. And so to prevent any kind of confusion, I tend to tell them, just talk to me, and I will tell the judge, and I will tell the DA, and I'll tell everybody who needs to know. But again, I've had clients whose girlfriends' wives will call the DA directly, draft letters for the judges, draft letters for the DA, and that can be very helpful if they feel comfortable being that involved, and they know their position, and they know they're not going to be duped into signing some piece of paper. That's amazing, and it really, really helps.
But the preference is always to talk to the attorney first, right?
Yeah, I always recommend, because like I said, the first thing I do is see if they're there, which they are often in court, or I call them. And I tell them, if you don't want to go forward with charges, please don't answer any calls from the DA. Please don't, you know, the cops really shouldn't be reaching out anyway. They kind of do checkups, which is normal, but talk to me, call me. I will be your point of contact. And there are times where I'm more often talking to, you know, the alleged victim than I am even my client, because they're always calling and checking in and giving me new information and thinking of new things that they think could really help me. And so it really does, like I said, it really becomes a collaboration between two people trying to do what's best for the arrested individual.
And it's really useful information.
Yeah, it's
because
fantastic.
again, families are sometimes grappling with what is it that I'm supposed to do, what is it that I should do under these particular circumstances.
Right, and I can also guide them, and I can say, you know, I'd really love, if this person is sick, I'd really love any medical records you have about them. You know, I'd really love, you know, any information you have about them as a person, because all of us have trouble bragging about ourselves. So it's probably easier for your sibling, father, mother, whoever, to say, no, you know, this person does these great things all the time, and they really help me out so much. And it could be in ways that the arrested person doesn't even realize that they impact other people's lives so much. And then if you can take that to a judge, it creates this whole picture of why this person, going back to the arraignment, why this person isn't going anywhere, why they're going to stay here, they're going to fight the charges, you know, because they have this entire group of people who supports them and who they support as well.
Got it. Thank you. So let's turn back to you, Malik. So you got involved in the program, Family Services, that's offered at the Fortune Society. Tell me how that happened. What were the services that you received, and like how did they ultimately benefit you and support you in reuniting with your children?
Well, when I got acquitted of my charges, my next goal was, okay, I got to find my kids. And just through the process of that, going back and forth to family court, trying to find ways, because I didn't know where they were at first when I first came home. And my family court lawyer introduced me to Fortune Society. She said, go in there and, you know, see what it's about. You know, I took some parenting classes, I took an anger management class, just some things that I felt, you know, maybe I can do and benefit from. It wasn't ordered, and it was just like, you know, I'm gonna go in here and check it out. She told me to check it out, so I checked it out. I went in there and I did those first. Did the
so you took parenting, anger management, not because it was a stipulation of the court. You did it because you felt it would be better for you.
Be beneficial to me. Going forward, you know, like okay, I did spend the last 18 months in an environment where, like, you know, you have to be
kind of like on guard all the time.
Yeah, you have to be on guard. You have to be a little angry, you know. So I did that, and doing that opened doors to other things. You know, to the job placement workshop. Did my CDL class in there. So it just really helped. It helped a lot in moving forward with life.
So you did employment services.
Yes, sir.
You completed that program and then were referred to a CDL driving program, and you completed that as well.
Yes, sir.
And recently got a job.
Yes, sir.
Right? Driving a bus.
Yes, sir.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
How did you reconnect with your children?
Well, in the process of just going, I was going back and forth to family court. I was putting in information I knew about their mother, like last known address. Hired a private investigator, and by chance, by luck, I was out on a date one day, and my kids walked right by me.
They just walked right
They
past
walked
you?
right by me. Their mother and them too. And
Did
I'm
you go like, well, wait a
No,
second.
I knew exactly they were. They looked at me,
Wait a
but
second.
they were young at the time.
Yes,
They're
yeah.
10 and 13 now, but at the time it was 3 or 5.
Did they recognize you?
No,
Wow.
mother did, and she kept walking. I called my lawyer because I'm like, I don't know what to do. What I want to do, I probably can't, which is I want to go grab them.
Of course.
But I called them. He said, leave it alone. We know they're in the area now. We know they're here. And I went back to court and put some more paperwork in, some more things. I found the precinct next to where she were. It's again, family came into play because I had a sister that lives out in where she was living.
Yes.
And just putting her ear to the street. I don't know if I say it like that, but putting her ear to the street like, hey, she's here.
Got
And we're going to go to this precinct. We're going to show these papers. We're going to go get her. And that's what happened.
And so as I understand, you actually like went from seeing your children walk past you to now having custody.
Yes, sir.
So how did that work out?
Well, just again going through the process, served the papers to get the family court, and it was a battle at first. Like that was unfair that they would take it from me.
Yes.
It was unfair that I was charged with these crimes that I didn't commit. I got acquitted, and like they were gone for 2 years. Like I love my kids. I was in their lives from day one, not day 2, 3, or 4, day 1. So just going back and forth, and then as the process was going, I said, you know what? I don't think I can do another court scenario. I don't really want to do this. And one day I talked to my lawyer. I said, would it be okay if I like just gave him for a couple of years and then took him back in a couple of years? And she said, yeah, I guess if the judge is okay with it. That's weird. They've never heard of it. The judge even told me. I've never heard anything like that. And so I want to do what's best for my kids. I want to keep them together because one of them is mine, one of them is not mine biologically.
Got it.
So I want to keep them together. And the fight just started to get to where, all right, I'm going to take mine, you're going to take yours. And I'm like, no,
Yes.
we're not going to do that. We're not going to
You
separate
wanted
them.
them to stay together.
I didn't want to be separated from my
Yes.
brothers and sisters when I was younger. I wouldn't want them to do it. So I let her keep him. This is back in 2012, 2011, I'm sorry. And she had him for 3 years. And then I recently got him, and I have him now.
Wow. So you agreed to allow her to maintain custody
Yes.
for a couple of additional years, and then you would then have custody. And how old are they now?
The one turned 13 tomorrow, and the other one's 10.
Wow. And what is it like for you as a father, again, having been separated, to now have your children with you on a day-to-day basis?
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing just to be able to teach them, to watch them grow,
Yes.
be able to like implement things in values in them and see it come to fruition.
Yes.
I tell them things all the time, like, being young black girls, it's hard. It's hard for you. It's harder for you than anybody else because you're a minority and you're a female.
Yes.
And, y'all got to stay in your A game. They make mistakes. They make mistakes like any kid does. I tell them all the time, I bump my head so you don't have to. So listen to what I'm telling you. Like, I don't know everything, but I do know this. So it's an amazing thing. And now we have I have two younger daughters, a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old, and a 10-year-old son that just turned 10 today. So,
Wow. So 5 kids, so
Yes,
you have
sir.
a starting 5 now.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you went from being in a jail, facing a significant amount of time in jail, to being acquitted, to having custody of your children. And so, that's a phenomenal story. And thank you for being willing to share that.
No problem.
And again, it just shows that the stereotype isn't always what it is. There's a lot of nuance there. And you went, and now you again regained custody, and you deserve the credit and for being a positive male role model, not just in the lives of your children, but in the lives of other children. So thank you for sharing that.
Just to piggyback up what she said, it helped to have like that family. My support system was awesome.
Yes.
There were days where I couldn't do it.
Yes,
there were days
sure.
where I love my nephews, I love my brothers and sisters, I love my nieces, but they'd have a birthday party, I'm not going. I can't go to this birthday party because I can't bring my kids, so I don't want to go. And it was like, all right, we understand. Anything you need, to have that support system behind you is amazing. To be able to lean on them when things are going bad, because it's gonna go bad. It's not gonna be a smooth road getting back to where you want to be.
That's right.
So you have to have tunnel vision. This is what's gonna happen no matter what, and then the help and support of your family is awesome. It's an awesome thing, and I
Thank
love
you
for
for
that.
sharing that. So what, Ashley, what advice would you have as we come towards the end of the show for, a situation like this where an individual can, kind of like reclaim their lives after having been involved in the criminal justice system?
So for me, like I said before, I usually see people up front.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's where a lot of my expertise lies. But when you're coming back, and you're not sure what to do, at least for me and the clients I've always had, I'm like, you can just call me. And I'm happy to try to figure out resources for you. You were connected to the Fortune Society through your family lawyer,
Yes, ma'am.
which kind of almost seems a little bit roundabout probably to a lot of people. But, I am more than happy to do a little bit of legwork up front, even if it's not my area of expertise, even if it's, I need to go to family court. Well, let me get you a family court lawyer. Or I have an immigration issue. I know an immigration lawyer I can help you with. Here's a resource. Here's an organization that can help you with this problem. All that kind of stuff where it's not necessarily something I'm doing as your lawyer anymore because that relationship has ended, but just as your former lawyer, as someone who knows what you went through, as someone who understands the entire arc of this scenario, I can really take that knowledge that I've gained from having interactions with my clients and their entire family, and even helping their family. If their family wants to do something, is asking questions, I do my best to try to point them wherever I think it would help them to go.
Yeah.
So it just, I want what's best for my clients, and not just in this narrow context of, I was arrested this one time. If I could prevent every client I ever have from ever getting arrested again, that would be amazing. So anything I can do to point them in the direction, if they're ready to really prevent this scenario from, if they're in a situation that they want to change, to kind of change the direction they're going, I'm so happy to do that. And it's not about being a lawyer, it's about being a human to human.
Thank
and
you.
just trying to create connection with people.
Thank you. And just what you have to offer to the clients is critical. The story that you told to us is really amazing, and we wanted to be able to tell a story that has really important ending for families. So thank you both for being here with us.
Thanks for having
So
You're welcome.
thanks to our guests for joining us on both sides of the bars today. Thank you in TV land for joining us as well. If you're interested in finding out more about the Fortune Society, please check us out on the web at fortunesociety.org or on Facebook by typing in the Fortune Society. This is Ronald Day as we critically look at both sides of the bars.